All right, so we will go over the syllabus, which should have all of the vital information in the world for you. Let's see. All right, so here we go. So this is just the course number. We are officially distance learning. These are the semester dates, although that's a Saturday, I think, might be Friday. And that's a Monday, and we didn't meet. Our time officially 2:22 to 2:47, 3:47, but the first 30 minutes will be our office hour. And if you want to get in touch with me, this is the best way, the email. I know occasionally, like, I'll have a student that said, I sent you a message through Blackboard's like, yeah, I don't know if I get those. So email's the best thing to do. Most of the stuff in my syllabus is required by my boss, so there it is. So U.S. history from 1877 to the present. We'll go back just a teeny weeny bit, but not too much. This is a list, scans, competency, or skills that you need to have to be successful in this class, primarily reading and writing. So you'll be fine. I'm not too worried about you. The textbook, we are using the textbook. Someone asked, like, I had a professor that said, here's the textbook, but we're not going to use it. We're going to use it because I don't know how else you're going to find out about history if we don't use it. So use the textbook. So get the textbook, get a version of the textbook. And mine is the 6th edition, but I'm pretty sure if you got the 5th edition, it'll work as well. We'll get to the textbook in a minute, sorry. You mostly will write some stuff and answer some multiple choice questions, some short answer questions. And there's one paper that you can choose to write if you would like to have an A. If you don't care if you get an A or don't need the extra points, you do not have to write the paper, your call, okay? Typically, when we're face-to-face, I just lecture about history. That is probably what I'm going to do now. Now, I know that there's always the danger, if I'm not seeing your actual face on there, that you're doing something else besides paying attention to the lecture, and I won't notice. But here's another truth. Even if I see your face, you could still be doing other stuff. So it is in your best interest for you to pay attention during class. Now, I will say, as someone who has 3 college degrees, 2 of which I got in the old days, one where we didn't have personal computers because I am old, the second, which was kind of normal times where we had personal computers and email and that kind of stuff, and the third of which I did as an online degree. So I have some experience with being a student in online courses. It is very easy for you to look at your phone, open another screen, put your picture up and go off and do something else. But you have to have enough self-discipline not to do those things, because you will not learn as much if you're working on calculus or writing your English paper while I'm lecturing to you about history. Plus, I'm just going to say my experience teaching high school students in person as a high school teacher for 29 years, and then as an ACC professor for, this is year 19 for me, is you really cannot multitask as well as you think you can. So, and it doesn't have to do with age, it has to do with how brains work and that sort of thing. And one thing that is true, I know you hear about brain theory all the time because your teachers love to talk about it. Because you guys are younger, digital natives, all that kind of stuff, you kind of already naturally have a little bit shorter attention span. So you having 5 things going on at the same time is really, yeah, it's not good. So try very hard to make this the only thing that you're thinking about during our class time. And when you're reading the textbook, also try to make that the only thing you're doing while you're with the textbook. And if I were you, I don't know that I'd read more than 30 minutes at a time without taking a break. And, you know, decide you're going to read 15 pages, take a break, walk around, play your trombone, look at your phone, play Fortnite, whatever kids your age do, get a snack, and then come back if you need to. But if I were you, I don't know that I'd work on reading more than 30 minutes at a time if you're not used to it. I'm not trying to be rude. I know you can read novels all day, but textbooks are different. They're not as fun. just the truth. Your textbook, however, extremely well written. It is for a textbook, but remember, text. Okay. All right, so mostly I'll lecture to you. If you have questions, you should email them. Email them to the ACC email, because that's, where it's. All right. Here's the URL to the YouTube channel, and that's I don't know what that is, but it's kind of that. So, all right. Course rationale, you have to take it because somebody says you have to take it to get a college degree. I know you are taking this for dual credit. Sorry, so much talking. I'm also going to suggest to you that while dual credit is lovely, credit is also good. Okay, so college credit is good. My guess is you're all going to college, or at least that's your plan at the moment. I'm not saying you should change your plan. I'm just saying, you might decide like, hey, there's more money in plumbing. There is, by the way. But not everybody wants to deal with poop, so I get that. But US History 1301, which is not required for dual credit, is required for every college degree in the United States. So later on, when you get a chance to take that, don't say like, that doesn't matter. You might consider it. I'm just saying, it's up to you. And that's the first half of US history. So it messes with our cause and effect a little that you haven't had that, but think back to 8th grade and maybe that will help. Okay. So 1302, the second half, you're required to take for both high school and college, and your grade will count at least one of those places. You need to have a C for you to get high school credit. There are some colleges that will accept D's, I think, but not very many. And they're probably not colleges, never mind. All right, your textbook, Give Me Liberty, Volume 2. So that's the second half of US history. And it is the 6th edition is your official textbook. But I am pretty sure if you have the 5th edition, you're okay. I'm pretty sure. Because I think the big changes in 5th and 6th, and I'll spend a little more time looking over that in the next couple of days. But I think the big difference is they add Trump. And the 5th edition doesn't have Trump. So the 5th edition, if you're like extremely cheap or broke, and you don't mind looking at the thing online, should be available at that link. I think you could download it, but it's probably not a good idea because it's huge. And you can't log into it, but you can click on it and scroll through it. So you can read it. And whoever posted that at the University of North Florida has violated some copyright laws, but it wasn't me. So I'm not going to jail over it. And you might be able to take some advantage of it. So 6th edition officially. If you have the 5th edition, that should be okay. And you already know, you've been in school long enough to know if you like to have a physical textbook or if an online book is okay for you. So your call on that. All right, grades. Here's the thing everybody cares about, grades or US history knowledge, whichever, hopefully both. All right, I'm going to grade stuff and you're going to turn stuff in, and we're going to do all those things on the Blackboard page. Now, when I'm done going over the syllabus, we'll look at the Blackboard page so we can find the stuff. I will post all of your assignments there. You will turn in all of your assignments there. I will post all of your grades there. Think of it as Texas Connect or ACC. Texas Connect. Do you still use that? Whatever grade program you use at the high school. Just think of Blackboard as the ACC version of that, or Google Classroom. It's like Google Classroom with grades. You know what I'm saying. But all the stuff's in there. And you'll turn your stuff in there. It'll be perfect. It'll be lovely. You'll enjoy it. Now, each unit is worth either 70 or 80 points. Depends on how many chapters there are. Each chapter has a weekly question worth 10 points. And then you'll have a quiz over each unit, which is a 3 to 4 chapter grouping that'll be worth 40 points, okay? And the quiz will be multiple choice or short answer. So if you're wondering like, what are the grades like? Look in the grading section of the syllabus if you forget later. I'm telling you all the answers, always in the syllabus. So see the due dates on the calendar. You'll see that here in a minute. Weekly assignments worth 10 points each. Multiple choice short answer section at the end of each unit, 40 points, available the last 3 days of each unit, okay? That section has to be completed in one session. So you sit down, you do all of those. Book reviews were 20 points, which is kind of extra, but you have to do it to get an A, and 300 points total. So 90% of the point total gets you an A, but you also have to do the book review. 80% gets you a B, 70% gets you a C, and then anything below 70 just makes you sad, so we won't talk about it. Try not to turn stuff in late. Limit of 2 late assignments. Now, we technically have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 assignments, okay? So that would be 20% of your assignments late. Try not to do that, but if you do, you do. I mean, it's, you know, the world won't end, except if you, dang, if you all turn in the last assignment late, I'll just flunk you all. Okay, I won't really, but I'll be sad about that. And the end of our class plus the day my grades are due, the turnaround time's really short. So try not to turn that last one in late. Again, you have to do a book review to get an A. I've said that about 5 times. It's still true. I'll keep saying it. Book reviews due November 30th. Okay. Here's more stuff. You should come to class. If you're not going to come to class, let me know. If you are sick, like you get sick right before class, you know, go get sick and then tell me the next day. You don't have to tell me. I had somebody have a car wreck on the way to class and then they're typing into their phone, I just had a wreck. It's like, please just call 911. Let me know later, okay? So, but let me know. Course meetings will be by Zoom, which I trust you guys are fairly familiar with at this point. My guess is you're not going to withdraw from the class, but you would have to go through Ms. Hexter and all that kind of stuff. So you take care of that. Most of this information really is more for traditional ACC students because they withdraw from too many college classes. This will be true for you later. Your tuition goes up. So keep that in mind for later. But for right now, it doesn't matter. And you can withdraw from this class and it won't affect your college tuition when you graduate from high school. Student discipline, I'm not going to require that I see your face, but you know, show your face if you would like. We're definitely, there's no dress code. That doesn't mean, you know, show up without your clothes during the meeting because I'm recording these. We don't want recordings of that kind of stuff. But whatever you say, just be as respectful as you can be. Doesn't mean that we can't disagree about stuff. I assume we will because why wouldn't we? We're not the same. I'm a lot older. I'm from a different place. My experiences have been different. And even though you are all the same age, your experiences have been different. Your parents are different. We shouldn't agree on stuff. So if we did, that'd be weird. I mean, we could agree on basic stuff like pizza is good, or although maybe there's one of you out there that doesn't like pizza, but we're not going to agree on political stuff. Now, if you're wondering, are we going to talk a lot about political stuff? No, probably not until we get toward the end of the class, because my guess is you don't have a lot of strong opinions about Harry Truman's presidency. Just a guess. Could be wrong, but you may have some strong opinions about Barack Obama's presidency. So as we get closer to your lifetime, you'll probably have more opinions. The old stuff, you'll just go like, never heard of it. Or no, Hitler was bad. Yeah. That opinion I expect you all to have. Hitler was bad. But agree, disagree, just be polite to each other. Student privacy stuff, I can't post your grades or share your grades or your attendance information with anyone but you individually and Ms. Hexter. I can't talk to your parents, so if they email me, I'll just tell them, look, I'm really sorry, talk to your child. So that always makes parents happy, so, but it's just true. If you're wondering, like, does this happen with adult students? Yeah, occasionally I'll have an adult student parent or their spouse, which is extremely uncool. Yeah, I'll just go like, hey, you guys go to the marriage counselor and leave me out of it. ADA, if you have accommodations or modifications, that means you have an IEP or a 504 plan. This is where it gets tricky for the kids, for the under 18 crowd. Because normally in high school, if you have one of these things, somebody who works at the high school tells your teacher and we never talk about it. For a college class, you have to tell the Office of Student Assistance And then they give you a piece of paper and then you send it to me, okay? So you have a process to go through, and if you are in that situation, if you have a tracking teacher or a counselor, they can help you, and maybe Ms. Hexter as well, can help you make the adjustment to the Office of Student Assistance, and then they'll give you the paper and then you give it to me. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then it doesn't apply to you. Okay, if you know what a 504 and IEP are, then talk to Ms. Hexter or your tracking teacher and they'll help you with that. Okay. Here was a big problem. Here's always the big problem. People cheat. Can you imagine? So you are having a whole bunch of prepared questions which you're turning in for 50% of your college credit. You absolutely, positively cannot cut and paste that from any source whatsoever. So don't look at the first question, which says, was Reconstruction a success or a failure? And then go on somebody's website and copy their opinion and paste it in and go like, haha, I'm done. No, because one, you didn't learn anything. Two, there's no job that you're going to get from cutting and pasting. It's not a practical skill. And three, it's cheating. Now, have we mentioned I taught at Cedar Park High School for a little while, a decade and a half. And what I noticed while I taught there is, here's a news flash, sometimes kids get away with stuff. You're probably shocked by that. And part of the way that kids get away with stuff is their parents call principals and assistant principals and say like, hey, my kid's teacher is mean to my kid, gave him an F that they didn't really deserve. And then those people come to the teacher and go like, hey, don't be mean to the kids. And you know, everybody cheats every once in a while. Let's not take it so seriously. When you go to college and you're there, one instance of cheating means F in the entire class, not just for that assignment. And if your college takes it super seriously, they'll kick you out of the whole college. So if you are in the habit of cheating to get through high school, and again, I taught high school for 29 years, so I know what I'm talking about here. Kids do this. If you're in that habit, you have to get out of that habit. You have to, because it's not good for you. And if you do it when you go to college, which you are officially in college now, and you get caught, you get an F in the class. F in the class. Not cool. Okay. All right. All right. Enough of a sermon, hopefully. All right. This is for my boss right here at ACC. I'm supposed to make a list of the common course objectives. So a bunch of history teachers got together and decided, hey, these are all the things we want everyone to learn. These are not your questions. These are not assignments. These are just things you're supposed to learn from this class. So there they are. And the truth is, when the class is over, you'll have learned those things in fairly significant ways. Here's some more stuff that matters to you. When are the assignments due? Okay, so Unit 1 has 3 chapters, 15, 16, and 17. Your weekly questions are already posted, and you submit those individually. Those are all due on the 18th of September, but you can turn them in anytime you like. If I were you, I would do question 1 about Reconstruction next week and turn it in. Then I would do question 2 about the Gilded Age and turn that in the week after. And then that way on the 18th, you really only have the 1 question plus the quiz. Your quizzes are due on the same day as your questions, which is why you don't want to do everything at the last minute, and you don't have to. And the quizzes, again, multiple choice, short answer, I'll open those on the Wednesday before they're due, and they'll close on the Friday at midnight. And your job is to get them all done, the quiz questions, within an hour. That'll be the time that I put. Now, it won't kick you out after an hour, but it will tell me that you took longer than an hour, and it'll tell me how long you took. So you take an hour and 2 minutes, I won't care. If it takes you 5 hours, there's clearly something going on there, because it won't take me 5 hours to write your quiz. It won't take me an hour. So, all right. So some of, you'll notice the due dates are about the middle of each month, kind of close to the middle of each month, with the exception of the book review, which is due on a Monday after Thanksgiving. So Unit 1 has 3 chapters, 2 and 3 have 4 chapters, which is why they're worth 80 points instead of 70, because they have 4 weekly questions instead of 3. And then Unit 4 has 3 chapters. And this tells you kind of the general subject. You notice it's in here as well. This tells you the assignment and the due date for the assignment. So everything you need to know about when stuff is due is in the calendar. All right. Oh my goodness. I'm going to stop sharing for just a second and see if I missed any questions or if anybody wants to ask anything, and then we'll go back and look at the book review, and then I'll show you where everything is on the Blackboard page. You guys have any questions at this moment? Sorry. All right, I'm going to ask you a question to see if you're with me. Every time my computer makes that little beeping noise because there's some stupid pop-up that I'm too old to figure out how to make it stop, do you hear the beeping noise? Yes or no? This is an important question. No?
No.
Okay, that's cool. Because it's driving me crazy. It's hard being old, I'm just saying, and not being able to figure out technology. Of course, I bet it's harder being young and not being able to figure out technology because everyone thinks you're good at it naturally. Could be wrong. But you are, aren't you? Maybe not. All right, thank you for answering no to my question. And we will look at the book review really quick. I'm not going to go over this a whole lot right now because truthfully, it's the end of the day. You don't care right now. I don't mean that in a rude way. The book review is due November 30th. So we'll spend a little more time going over it later. And I should have a separate video. I will have a separate video where it just talks about the book review. And I probably won't make you suffer through that. I'll probably just record it and put it on there, and you can watch it if you want to. Okay. All right. And I will put a sample book review on there later, but not today. Okay. So book review. Do you have to do it? No. Do you want to do it? Maybe. If you want an A, you have to do it. If you think you might need extra points, you should do it. You may not know if you need extra points till the middle of the class, but that would be October and it's due in November, so you'll still have time. So you have a while to think about this. Book review is about 4 to 5 pages long, double-spaced, typed, 1,500 words. And it's supposed to be about a history book that is about United States history after the Civil War. So Reconstruction to the present. So no books about George Washington, he's older. Probably no books about Harriet Tubman, although maybe you might be able to squeeze her in. No books about Hitler, please, no books about Hitler, no. No books about, I don't know, stuff that has nothing to do with US history. I've already had somebody ask if they can do a novel. It's like, oh my gosh. Novels are tricky. I would try really hard just to do a history book. I would pick someone or something, a person or an event that you're really interested in. So if you like World War II, that's your thing. If you like dance, find a famous dancer who seems to be important in US history. That's possible, it really is. If you like sports, pick something about sports that impacted US history. If you like music, there are definitely musicians who impacted US history. If you like history stuff, pick a president you like, pick a general you like, pick a historian you like. Occasionally they make history. Pick an event you like. So you want to read a book about Vietnam conflict, that would make sense. If you want a book about Barack Obama, that's good. I had somebody do some of those, that guy that used to work for Fox News. Bill O'Reilly. Bill O'Reilly wrote a bunch of history books. It made me mad, I'm not going to lie. Not because I necessarily dislike Bill O'Reilly. I mean, I know who he is. I'm not upset with him, except He's not a historian, and he made millions of dollars writing history books. That hurt me, because if I made millions of dollars writing history books, no. But if you want to read a Bill O'Reilly book, that is completely fine with me as well. So how long? Oh, do you need Give Me Liberty through the whole class? So that would be September through or mid-December. So if you're renting, yeah. And again, the 5th edition's online. I know I just changed subjects, but I just noticed that in the chat. So sorry. The 5th edition's online and might be okay for you, but you also, I don't know about renting a book. I don't know stuff like that. So that's not true. I did rent books, but I usually, oh, I'm not going to say that out loud about why I rented books. Okay. So the book review, back to that. So book review first, pick a book you would like to read about a subject you would like to read. Okay. I'm not saying you should pick the shortest book you can find, because I don't think that's a good strategy. However, if you find a book you really like, but it's 1,000 pages long, you've got to decide if you can manage that with all the other things that you have to do. So I'm not saying pick a book by its length, but you may want to disqualify a book if it's 1,000 pages long. So that's up to you, and I'm not challenging you in any way. Like, I don't think I can read it. I do think you can read 1,000 pages. I just don't know that you can do that while you have 8 classes plus online learning, and you might be babysitting your little brother. So it's not about ability, it's about availability. Do you have time to do it? Okay, I gotta hurry, don't I? So the form is 4 to 5 pages long, 3 sections. Part 1 is the shortest, where you tell me very briefly what happened in the book. Part 2 is where you talk at more length, like 2 pages, about the author's thesis. Why did the author write the book? That should be either obvious, hopefully, or it's in the foreword or introduction of the book. So don't just skip that. A lot of times people do, because a lot of times historians will just say, my thesis is, and they just say it right there. So make sure you look for that. And then in part 2, you look through the book to see if they prove their thesis. So if they wrote about General George Patton, and their thesis was Patton was the most important field general in World War II. So then you would go through the book and find things that Patton did that only Patton could have done. And so for that, you'd probably talk about the fighting in Northern Africa, where Patton defeats the Afrika Korps under Rommel, or you would talk about Patton at the Battle of the Bulge. Or there are other times too, but those are the 2 big things. So you would go through the book and find things that prove the thesis, or if you don't think they prove the thesis, you can find a few things that did, but then some other things that didn't. You have to quote the book in this section, so probably, short quotes like a sentence or 2 at the most, probably a sentence, and then talk about that and put the page numbers in there. We'll talk more about that as we get closer to the assignment. Then part 3 is, did you like the book? So it's more than did you like the book, but it's mostly, did you like the book? How does it compare to stuff you already knew about the subject, which will, if you didn't know anything about it, then, that's different. How does it compare to stuff that's in the textbook? You're not sure what's in the textbook. 1, why aren't you reading the textbook? 2, use the index on the textbook, and it'll help you find stuff. Because you may do a book review thing that we haven't covered yet in class, so use the index. Did you notice any author's biases, what the author's background was? There's usually an about the author section in the book. What might have made the book better, what they could have added or taken out. Did you like it? Would you recommend it to other people? That sort of stuff. The way I'll grade it is either yes or no. The only reason I'd give you a no is if you plagiarized. Please, oh my gosh, don't do it. Okay, you've already gotten the lecture. And then they're due on the 30th. And then if you get accepted, which you should expect, between 1 and 20 points. You submit that through Blackboard, and I will grade it and put your grade on Blackboard. And a very quick version of the books. I'm just going to tell you what they're about. Oh my gosh, how much time do we have? Crud, not very much, 10 or 12 minutes. The Taylor Branch book is about Martin Luther King Jr. He was a journalist who covered Dr. King while he was alive. The Alan Brinkley book is about people who opposed the New Deal, FDR's plan to end the Great Depression. This is just a nice collective biography of Native American leaders. It's good stuff. This is an assessment of Eisenhower's presidency. This is a very strange book about a journalist who was a white guy who went undercover as a black guy in the late 50s and 60s. It's really weird and nuanced and controversial and might even, I don't even know if, yeah, it's weird. Autobiography of Malcolm X. If you don't know anything about Malcolm X, that would be an interesting way to find out about him. This is a Tuskegee syphilis experiment is what it sounds like. They do medical experiments on poor African-American dudes in Alabama to see how certain treatments work, and there's some very unethical things that go on there. The Gerda Weissman client, I put that on there because a bunch of people always want to read about the Holocaust, which did not happen in the United States. However, Mrs. Klein, who was not, she was Gerda Weissman before she got married, was a survivor of a Holocaust, of the Holocaust, the concentration camp. And her concentration camp was, oh, what is the word I'm trying to look for? But the soldiers who came and, why can't I think of stuff? But when the soldiers came to let everybody out of the concentration camp, rescue them, she ends up marrying the first guy she meets, not that day, it's several years later, and he's an American. So she ends up coming to the United States and makes a life here. So that's at least a connection, so it makes a little sense. Okay, Simple Justice is absolutely the best legal history of the Brown versus Board of Education case that desegregates public schools, but it's huge, it's really big, so it may not be your thing. Ghost of Manila is a really weird book written by a sports writer, and it's about boxing. It's about the Ali Frazier fights and how culturally that aligns people who are pro-Vietnam and anti-Vietnam, and it also brings in the Nation of Islam in there. It's a fascinating book, and it has boxing in the middle of it. So, I don't know, it's a weird thing. Leon Litwack's book is about the beginning of Jim Crow laws, which are segregation laws, discrimination laws that occur after the Civil War. Détente and the Nixon Doctrine is about Nixon's foreign policy. Homeward Bound is definitely a feminist take on the 1950s, so it's a little out there, and you can't read it to, well, there are none of these books you can read out loud to your little brothers and sisters. Teddy Roosevelt's about, yeah, Teddy Roosevelt. The Al Capone book is about Al Capone before he goes to jail, while he's still kind of a neighborhood hero. So it's a weird little book, and you'll want to keep that in mind if you read it. Joseph McCarthy is the reason that you read so much about Puritans, but he's the guy that accused everybody of being communist in the 1950s and got a bunch of people thrown in jail. And then eventually he kind of gets in trouble, gets censured, and then he dies. So it's kind of interesting. Eleanor Roosevelt really was big on civil rights and rights of the poor and human rights. So she's a little ahead of her time and kind of interesting. The Home Before Morning is a book, it's what it says it is. And Linda Van Devanter was very pro-Vietnam conflict, like let's go over there, stop the communists before they come over here. So she's gung-ho, I love America. And then when she gets over there, she becomes something a little different. And it's a rough book. I mean, it's what you would expect of a Vietnam narrative. And by the time she's done, she's not as in favor of the war. Now that's not, and it sort of mirrors US perceptions of the war. Like at the beginning of the war, almost everybody thinks it's a great idea. At the end of the war, it's not nearly as popular. This is about, what is that thing, Watergate. Woodward and Bernstein do the Watergate books, and they're the two journalists that uncover lots of stuff. And this will depress you about what the US government knew about the Holocaust before it was really common knowledge. And then that is the rubric that I'll use to grade the book review. Okay. All right, dang, that's a lot of stuff. And then we've got like 5 minutes to go look at, but that'll be enough time to go look at the Blackboard page. Do you want to ask anything really quick? Are you guys still there? You're still there, aren't you? Okay. By the way, you know, when I taught high school, I always wondered, what is that liquid in the cup? For me, it's always Coke Zero. I'm just going to say. All right, let me see if I can, oh, goodness. Excuse me. See if I can figure out how to go to the Blackboard page. You see Blackboard? Is that my phone again? Who even has a phone? Hmm. All right. Yeah, I think the Blackboard page is up there. Okay. Why is that up there? That's weird. Sorry, I am talking to myself. Okay. Where did you guys go? God, there's so many things on there. Oh, there. I'm so sorry. I apologize. I got distracted by my brain and my phone. All right, so I don't think that's the right thing. Nope. Okay, fine. Somebody asked, how many book reviews can you submit? I'm going to go with one. Now, as we get a little more into the class and maybe it seems like things aren't going as well, if it ever seems like things aren't going as well as you would like, we can talk about other things maybe you can do to supplement your work. Crud. I'm sorry, I'm really having trouble opening the Blackboard page and I have to figure it out soon, don't I? One more try. Okay. Let me close the other stuff. Maybe that'll help. Okay, it's right there. Dang it. I hate being an old person that doesn't get technology well. Okay. It's none of those things. Portion of screen. No, but I want to do a file. Can I officially hate technology right now? I know it's not any of those things. Okay. Try one more time. How many minutes do I have? Oh, good. 4. Okay. So that's you. I don't understand why it's not up there. It's not though. All right. I'm so sorry. I can't figure this out and I just don't know that I'm going to be able to in the next 4 minutes. So we may just start. What I'd like for you to do before I see you next time. See, I do need more than an hour. Oh, darn. Okay. Before next class, if you will, make sure that you can log on to Blackboard, which, oh, look, maybe that's it. Ah, that's it. Okay. So, okay, I've got like 2 minutes. I'm so excited. So log on to Blackboard, and what I'd like for you to do is to look over here. Okay. So things that you would need to see, everything's just what you would expect it to be, I think. So you've got the syllabus, so it's there. You've got course documents. Those are going to be outlines of the chapters, plus a list of all 3 of the first unit sample questions. So that's where you'll find those. The assignments page is where you'll turn those in. If you're wondering like how much detail should I use as I answer the question, sample question and answer will hopefully give you a clue. I have no idea why there's 2 course documents sections on there. So I'll try to consolidate that to one. It's not supposed to be that way. In the course documents section, the questions are where it says Unit 1 weekly questions. And I'll post all 3 or 4 of those at the beginning of each unit. And then if you click on the document, it'll show you all of the questions. So it has, the first one was reconstruction, a success or a failure, and that's what we'll start talking about in the near future. So I feel like I almost need to stop talking, so, which is sad. And again, I'll go back and look and see why you have 2 course document sections, and I'll make sure there's just one sample question and answer. And if I give you announcements, they'll be on the announcement page. And I trust you've already found that because you logged into the Zoom meeting. All right, so your job before I see you next time, try to figure out how you're going to get the book and log into Blackboard and make sure you can find all the stuff. My job is to make sure you only have 1 course document section. And between now and next class, I will post my lecture notes and I will put them in the single course document section. All right, before I say goodbye to you, do you have any questions you would like to ask at this time? Okay, does anybody want to ask anything? Are you guys still there? Did you all log out? Are you all working on calculus?
No, we're still here.
Okay, good. Yeah, calculus is a huge waste of time. Somebody does say that you're gone. That's cool. Calculus, when are you ever going to use that? Use history every day. Calculus.
Exactly.
I know, I know. All right, physics, what a waste of time. Oh my gosh, what are you kids thinking? All right, well, if you want to stay and ask a question, feel free. I'm going to stop recording and then I will post this and let you guys know where it's posted. Hope you all have a lovely day. Thank you for coming. And I will see you Thursday at whatever time we're supposed to see each other, 2:15.